surprise topic because I'm curious of your opinions, both chat and Chad. And again, by no means is this happening. Should I sell the car behind me for a cheap but reliable daily and sports car combo? Go.
Yes.
Well, I knew that was going to be your answer. I'm more
Let me
interested in
elaborate.
what Chad has to say.
So the daily, whatever, do you? The sports car would have to be interesting, or have an interesting plan, or something, and preferably something that would be a good playmate for the Mustang, just for poops and giggles. I mean, any car you get, we can do fun things with that and the Mustang. Let me put it to you this way, right? Like, if the answer is daily and like a 4-cylinder Supra, pass. If it's something like, I don't know, I know you have a proclivity for Jaguars, F-Type R or SV or something. Let's have some conversations about that.
So here's the thing though. Before you continue, so book value on this basically right now, third party, you can get between 35 and 40K. Let's, for poops and giggles, say that I top it out at 40K because the 6 cylinders for some reason aren't going for more than 40K, and they should be. They're rarer. They have a better engine. They're not newer, but they're not newer by 1 year to the 4-banger, right? With a turbo and supercharger. So, Steve, to answer to your question, just for what we're talking about, what did I miss? As I'm posing the question, it's not happening. Should I sell the car behind me, which is a 2016 V60 Polestar, which you guys know. For those that are watching that don't know, it is a 6-cylinder engine. It's rarer. There's only about 200 to 250 of these in the U.S. ever between 2015 and 2016. And should I sell this for a cheap daily and a sports car of some kind? Now, what I'm saying is you can get between 35 and 40K for these things right now. I have just shy of 50,000 miles. Mileage on these largely doesn't matter too much until you're getting into like the 80, 90, 100K range because they're very reliable. The engines are basically bulletproof. The platform overall is pretty good. But the whole thing I'm talking about is using that 40K for both cars. So, Chad, to the point you just made, an F-Type R is sort of out of the question because I can trade this for a really low-end F-Type R that has a lot of miles, and that's pretty much it, and I wouldn't be able to get a daily at that point. So my initial sort of thought was to get like a mid-2000s Lexus of some kind. A little boring, but those cars will never die. And also maybe like an E90 or an E9X M3 again. So something like that. But I guess the larger question is to you and chat, what 2 cars would you get in those criteria for around $40,000? What daily would you get that's going to be reliable? Doesn't have to be new, can be older. And what sports car would you get for 40K total?
Now, I'll be perfectly honest. You know the market a little better than I do. So before we get into really anything I think of, you have the Polestar. Your wife has the XC90, or does
yes, which we may be replacing because we're out of warranty. But that's neither here nor there for this conversation.
The long and short of it is
she'll have a big SUV of some kind.
2 cars, basically. The Polestar and this. The 240s, wagons, we'll set us all aside for a moment. So we're basically looking at a budget of about 25K for the sports car, 28, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Probably. You can even maybe bump it up to 30 because you can get reliable Camrys for 10K. You can find plenty of reliable cars for 10K. But let's do for this example, let's go with right around what you're saying. 25 to 28K for the sports car and around 12 to 15 for the daily.
So in the market we're in now, for a point of reference, my Mustang and similar Camaro, Challenger, even though I wouldn't consider a Challenger a sports car, they're awesome, but they're quite hefty. To me, what you're going to get at that range, I would keep the Polestar for that. However, I would also think of it from this respect, and you can go 2 ways with this. You can either, let's say you sell the Polestar, get a nice, responsible daily, whatever it is, interesting or not, it's literally there for you to be transported and things of that nature. And then that 25 to 27, you have no more payments on the Polestar? It's paid off?
No, I own it. I own it
Okay,
outright.
perfect. So, and then you can sit here and you can take that lump of money and say, pick one of your 240 wagon projects and make that, because those are pretty dang light. Like I think they're right around 3,500 pounds, if I'm not mistaken.
3, actually.
Yeah, that's crazy stupid light. You could make all the handling. You could put a pretty decent motor in it, and that could be your, that's a sports car in wagon clothing, a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of a deal. That's where my brain goes, because I like taking a car and then immediately customizing it. However, the other option there is let's say you get Polestar sells. You have a lump of cash. We're not going to the casino to try to make it double.
No. We're going to try to make double cars.
So you have your daily. My other thought would be to keep that money aside. You're going to have two 240 wagons. As much as this might hurt some of the Volvoists there, it's really not a need to have 2. So we could add, let's just say it's the 245R project, right? That is literally a ground up restoration. It's going to have the best of everything, assuming the time we're dealing in. There's a pretty sizable market for those. And then we have a chunk that, let's say you lop off another 10 to 20% of that and use it towards, say, a down payment on the XC90 replacement. We're still now looking at 40 to 50K. And I think that widens your berth, and it gives you, you now have more to play with. And, it gives you a little more time. So maybe the market kind of, you catch something downturn wise. And that opens the door for a lot more interesting items, stuff that we've talked about in the past, Jags, Astons. I know you really like the E9X platform, but please no more.
I do love that platform just because it's the only M3 with a V8. That's just unique and cool. Like, I know everyone's like, oh, M3s are so boring. Everyone and their grandma has one, blah, blah, blah. But, that's true to a certain extent. But, the E9X platform is just really cool. And to have the one M3 with a V8, that's, a little special.
No, the one mass-produced. We've talked about this before, Gregson. It's the one mass-produced M3 with a V8. The E46 got a limited production run with a V8 in it.
Look, I'm going to talk in clickbait whether you like it or not, so shut up. So I've talked about it before on stream. I'm very much about interesting cars. And that's why I really like this, is because it's a fast Volvo. And one, no one expects fast Volvos in general. Enthusiasts get okay, they're a fast Volvo, sure. But when you see a fast Volvo coming down the street, and I had it happen with my V70R countless times. Same with this, people turn their heads and they snap their necks what the hell was that? That's cool to me, but I don't buy them just for the notoriety from the public. It's more of just the interestingness of them, which is why if I would ever buy a lightweight sports car, I would always go to a Lotus, just because as unreliable as they are, they're interesting to me because of, you don't have to have crazy power to have an amazing track car. Those are cool to me in that respect. That's why I loved the V70R platforms, is because, Volvo 5-cylinder, the sound was just so unique. I loved that. I gravitated towards that. Every white block just sounds really cool. I'm gravitated towards interesting cars. And that's, again, why I like this, is because it's a 6-cylinder engine developed by Volvo, built by Ford, transversely mounted. It's in this this is essentially an E9X wagon. If you look at the dimensions between the two, the interior dimensions are very similar, give or take. It's all within sort of an inch of tolerance in shoulder room, hip room, head room, blah, blah, blah. Because when I was shopping for this, I had to sell the V70R and my M3 to get this. So I was trying to keep it in a similar ballpark because, as I do have a 2-car garage here, the side that this is on is right up next to the door to get into the house. And there's a step there. So if I were to park, I'm in my wife's spot right now, sitting here, the XC90. If I were to park another XC90 over there, this garage would be almost unusable because of how little room there is over there. So having a car this size makes a lot of sense over there. So I was looking for a car similar to an E9X platform in length, width, and stuff like that. So it makes sense. But I don't know. The E9X platform just is it's unique to me. I grew up on BMWs, so I do love BMWs. I have a soft spot for them. Again, the production V8 M3 aspect
Mass
of it makes
produced.
it cool to me. So I said production.
Mass produced.
Production. That E46 M3 was not a production car.
It
Stop
was
it.
it or was it not produced? And did it or did it not get to the public?
Production in car terms means
Whatever I say,
produced for the public. I thought it was just an interesting topic of conversation because it's been like kicking around in my mind. Probably not going to do it, but it's just something that interests me. That always happens to me, like every year or two. I'm just like, wonder what I can get for this car that could then parlay into the next couple cars. But you're right. Like there's two 240s that are going on right now. And I've talked with Aaron about it. Aaron in chat is one of the guys that's building the car with me. The other guy is Jesse Wildman. He's another supporter of ours out west. Like they both know that I'm probably not going to keep one of them. It depends on which one, I like better. And then I'll sell the other, or, and utilize that to do another project and so on and so forth. It's just interesting to think about. I like Mark's one comment of Chad is incorrect. Line the driveway. I would, except my driveway is short, steep, and my mother-in-law parks there, so it's not the ideal situation.
Last time, just as a point of reference,
different...
last time he did that, his Subaru viciously attacked the V70R.
That was a Subaru error, apparently, where the parking brake did not engage. My dream garage would be to keep the 240, one of the 240s, either resto build, essentially, and then get a sports car on top, like a Jag F Type or some sort of, fun manual car. But I also kicked around the idea of selling this and going straight up for like a Chevy SS manual because, one, again, rarity. They don't make them anymore. Two, it's not really a Chevy, it's a Holden. Three, it's a big V8. Four, there's an ample aftermarket. Five, they look amazing. They sound amazing. They handle amazing. They're cool. And they're interesting. Again, it's another interesting car because you don't find many manual modern up until like 2017, manual big V8 super sedans. So they just don't really exist much. So it's like you have that, you have the M5.
Doug makes a good point. He says the GTO has the right number of doors.
Which is 2. Yes. I'll tell you what, though. When my kids are out of car seats, I will 100% be totally fine with a 2-door car with 4 seats. I'm totally fine with that. But since they are still in car seats, just to have the space, I do need 4 doors, especially with this garage. There's no way on that side of the garage, on the far side where the flag is, that I could get a kid in there with a car seat. It's just not possible, unfortunately.